Hey guys, welcome back to My Purpose in 10 parts. This is part 2. So I just want to say that this is completely transparency, completely honest and very much unscripted to what story I want to take, the journey that I want to take you on basically. So I don't have a script. This is all from memory. So if I do jump back and forth a bit, apologies about that, but I just want to give you completely the organic, true-hearted self as it is. So, we did in part 1, for those that missed part 1, we did actually, touch quite a lot on my upbringing as a baby and, moving from a 2-bedroom, council estate flat in quite a rough area, over to a 2-bed, 2-up-down house, which, basically a lot of trauma took place in that house. So part 2 will be about, the title is quite apt, Courage Takes the Wheel. This is to do with my mother finding her inner strength to get out of the relationship that she was currently in. So I'm going to take you on the journey from the start on part 2. Now, my dad, aka the sperm donor, thought it'd be a good idea for my mum to start doing driving lessons, and she did. So she had a really good instructor. He was called Charlie, and she would, be having probably about 20 lessons at this time, and ironically, she seeks refuge and a purpose and a place where she has a relationship with the driving instructor, Charlie. And I remember my mum saying to my dad that she was leaving him, she's not coming back, and he begged and begged her to stay. So, as you can imagine, the atmosphere was very, very toxic. My dad had felt as if he'd done nothing wrong, and why can all this happen to him? Bearing in mind that he hadn't taken stock of his actions over the years. So, my dad said, right, okay, well, it was close to Mother's Day, so my dad said, right, you leave after Mother's Day. So my mum agreed, and she was going to set up a new home with Charlie. Now, Mother's Day came, and we'd given Mum her gifts, and I remember this very, very poignantly, that I gave her a box, and it was thing at the time, a box with either a daisy or rose petal, and I'm sure it was white, in a box, and it would last for a few weeks or whatever. It was quite a nice little gift. I think me and my brother got it as a joint present, to be honest with you. And lunchtime came on Mother's Day, and he'd been really horrible to her up until this time. And he basically told her to get out of the house now. And, my mum was originally meant to take me and my brother with her, because knowing that, he's not capable of looking after anybody but himself, and we would be in great danger. So he then turned the tables and said, no, you're not taking the boys, which was me and my brother. So I was the oldest out of 2. And he said, no, you're not taking the boys, and you can go now. At this point, I remember my mum being shoved out of the house quite violently. And I remember Charlie's white car. He had a white Nissan Micra, which my mum learned to drive in. So it was it was quite an old one, but a little machine anyway. So I remember my mum getting in the car, opening the car door and just crying, you know, and how my dad at the time could have been so awful, so disgusting, you know, especially when it was his doing, you know, he was completely in the wrong. So I remember me and my brother were crying at the living room window, which faced onto the front of the house, and we could see my mum, you know, open the car, looking back, and me and my brother just, you know, just waving. And I remember very significantly where she's going to get in the car, and all I can see my eye line, because I was obviously quite young, was the rose petal, and above that, mum's top of head getting in the car. And obviously that was a gift that me and my brother brought her, so it really was awful. He wouldn't let her take it either. She wasn't allowed to take anything, even down to her clothes she wasn't allowed to take. She wasn't allowed to take any photographs of me and my brother as babies, nothing at all. He basically said, no, you're not having a thing, you know, you've done me wrong, so to speak. So it was pretty awful, to be honest with you. And so fast forward into, this has now been a few weeks since this had happened. We hadn't really seen mum that much. He tried to make life as difficult as possible for us children to have that contact with our mum. And I think they finally came to an agreement or an arrangement, and we were due to go over for the weekend. Now, what I'm about to tell you is quite disturbing, to say the least, very disturbing. So basically, Charlie had pulled up outside the front of the house. Mum got out and went to pick us up, and then he was refusing for us to be able to go, saying, you know, all derogatory language again, which I won't, you know, repeat on here. And my mum finally managed to get us. How, I don't know. But again, I know that she'd gained a lot of inner strength through leaving my dad. She was starting to find herself again and be that person that she was meant to be. You know, considering she'd been in this relationship since she was about 17 or 18, you know, she'd been completely brainwashed, segregated from her own family, not able to see her own parents for a number of years, not able to be having a life, so very much held captive as a prisoner, you know, even a prisoner of war. You know, I don't say that lightly, and it was just not fair. So anyway, back to the point where my mum's collecting us. So we get in the car. My dad's, aka sperm donor, came out, helped put the bags in the boot, and we were in the back of the car. This was a 3-door Nissan Micra, and then Charlie got on his side to drive, and my dad then, as we're about to pull away, kicked the back of the car where we're sitting in the back on the outside, like 2 big kicks. So then Charlie, you know, wasn't happy about that, and rightly so as well. He basically stuck his finger up at my dad, which was quite mild, really, considering that someone's just beat the crap out of your car, possibly left 2 dents. But so anyway, my dad at the time still had the Nissan Sunny, was working for a company called United Technologies. He got the sack from there because of his personality and willingness to get on with absolutely anybody. He just, you know, he couldn't get on with anybody, which I mentioned in the first video. He then made it hard for my mum to leave
to go to work, and she worked at United Technologies. This was after Hillard's, so this was quite a few years later. And he used to make chants at her when she walked in. You know, bearing in mind that he wouldn't even go and pick her up in the car. He wouldn't, you know, she at the time, this is before pre-driving with Charlie, she couldn't drive, so she had to get a bus home. And this was, I think, somewhere in Autumn, Southgate. So, you know, back to Dogsford, that's roughly, which was my home place where I lived and grew up. And I think that really is about possibly 4 or 5 miles. I might be wrong, but it's too much for anyone to be walking that time of night on their own, especially at the time being female as well. So she gets in, and he, bearing in mind he didn't lift a finger, wouldn't do any housework. And I remember previous to her getting in, he was grabbing her bras and pretending to use them as catapults. You know, it was just completely barbaric and disgusting, and lack of respect for his wife. You know, so she gets in the door from work, from United Technologies, and he's chanting, "Oh, here comes the worker, here comes the worker." You know, and it was like, you know, made her feel bad for going out to work. And they used to say to her, "Oh, you'd rather go to work and spend time with me." You know, it was just, yeah, very, very strange. So then he'd done no housework all day. He was unemployed at this point, hadn't made me and my brother dinner, absolutely nothing. Just sat there watching the telly, and we couldn't speak. And then when he wasn't watching the telly, he was reading his Bible, which, you know, was a bit strange. So then basically, getting back to the car, my dad got in his car, which was the red Nissan Sunny that I pointed out in the first video, and he started chasing after us in the car. So we were in the car with Mum and Charlie, the white Micra, and we're making our way back to Autumn, which was Lady Lodge Drive. I will try and get a photo from somewhere if I've got one and stick it in the top right. But if I don't, apologies, it's been quite a number of years. And he started chasing us, so we had to drive at speed. Charlie was a professional driver, he was a driving instructor, we felt completely safe. The only person we didn't feel safe was the person following us, which was my dad, aka sperm donor. And he was driving erratically, you know, trying to catch right at the back of us. So Charlie, with his, you know, comprehensive local knowledge of the roads and different shortcuts, managed to fend him away and managed to get away, basically. We stopped off at my auntie's, Auntie Pearl and Uncle Glenn, and we stayed there for possibly 2 or 3 hours until we thought it was safe to go back, because he knew where Mum's new house was. And this was a lovely house. This was a rented house at the front of the property, of another existing property, which was a detached manor house as such, roughly. And yeah, so he knew where we lived, and we knew the consequences. We didn't feel safe. So then we went back in the white Micra with my mum and Charlie, went back to Lady Lodge Drive, and this was a white bungalow on quite a large footprint. And there was axe marks on the front door. So basically, my dad used to carry an axe around, which was quite strange. He had taken an axe to the door, not just once, several times. The door was very, very badly damaged as a consequence of his behaviour. And we, you know, Charlie obviously phoned the police, and I'm not sure, you know, I was too young, I'm not sure how it was dealt with, or even if it was dealt with. I'd say domestic crime back in the 80s, even up to the late 90s, was very sporadic. It wasn't as it is today. It's a very serious offence today, which is rightly so as well. And so we stayed with Mum for a while, and then I basically was guilt-tripped into going back to my dad's house, which he was, with a narcissist, they lay everything out, everything. They can't do enough for you. They're sorry, they're this, they're that, promise they're going to change, and treat you as if like you're royalty. And when you get in there and then you get back to that house, it's very, very, very different to what was mapped out to what it should have been. So anyway, my brother Michael and my mum and Charlie lived together at Lady Lodge Drive, and my brother went to a different school, so me and my brother were separated, and he went to a school called Longville, which was actually a stone's throw from his house. So we'd gone from being extremely close to not seeing each other until it was every other weekend, because that's when I used to visit my mum. And I say, in this time, a very short time afterwards, my mum used to sign up to Avon. I don't know if anybody remembers that, the Avon catalogue, and used to get a delivery once a week of stuff, or every couple of weeks, I can't quite remember. And my dad answered the door, and this Avon lady was stood there. It might have been, my mum might have ordered something, I'm not sure. Anyway, this little lady with curly hair, big glasses, she was only about 5'2". It's really sweet, really sweet lady. And he invited her in. This was so strange. He invited her in, never met her before, she'd never met him, invited her in for a cup of tea, and they started getting on. They then went on a few dates. She had a son called Anthony, and then they both moved in, and it was the dynamics were very, very different yet again, and yet again I'm witnessing domestic abuse from my father towards now, which they wasn't married at the time, but my stepmom, which was called Tina, and he led her a dog's life as well. He didn't get on with her son. He treated her son as an outcast. It was just the whole situation was just getting worse, and they decided to get married. And at this point, I was sort of flitting between two houses, so every other weekend. And my mum mum and Charlie had conceived a child, and which then was going to be my other brother. So I have two brothers. My oldest, my youngest brother James, which mum and Charlie had together in their new relationship, and my second oldest brother, who had was from the previous with my dad, aka sperm donor, and my mum. And I have a fantastic relationship with both brothers. We don't see each other as much as we'd like to. I think when you get married, you have family, kids, life takes a very different turn, and everyone becomes very busy, especially in this world today. But she basically, I'm trying to remember where I was, but she basically, that's it, they'll get married. So basically they were set to be married, They got married in a registry office, and I remember this very, very well, where walking down the aisle, I don't call it theme tune, but the walk up and down to the aisle, she requested Tina Turner, and I always sort of smile with that and just think how bizarre, but how different. You know, it's better than being original. She was very different. She had her own voice, was a little bit stronger than my mum to start with. She wouldn't think twice to tell him to, shut up, basically, in TV terms, a nice way. But over the years, she'd become slightly weaker, because that's what a narcissist does. They home in on their prey, and they just chip away at all the good things and turn these really good people into open, mummified shells. Just the person they were is, the person looks the same, but their whole personality is completely different. That's really sad, but it happens a lot in a lot of relationships. So upon the wedding, my dad wouldn't let her son go to the wedding. Now, this is absolutely ridiculous. He wasn't able to go because he didn't like his haircut. Now, he had a haircut which at the time, back in the 90s, was very much in fashion, and he had what was known as an undercut, so it was like curtains here, and then like a step going around the back, but if you lift your hair up, it's like, the same length as mine on top now. And he didn't like it, so he wouldn't let him go. And I just couldn't understand that. His own mum is getting married, and bear in mind, Tina and Anthony's previous home life was not very nice. She'd come from an abusive relationship previously, excuse me, and her ex was an alcoholic. So you can imagine the life that she led before. As I say, I don't know all the ins and outs of that, and that's not really my place to narrate on that at all, but I understand that it wasn't a very nice environment for both of them to be in. So she was seeking a better opportunity. I believe he was either living somewhere else or in prison. I'm not 100% sure on that. But so getting back to the wedding, he wasn't allowed to go because of this haircut, which was absolutely bloody ridiculous. So anyway, the wedding still went ahead. I felt so sorry for Tina. So her only child, her only son, and we walked down there, and then the party afterwards was going to be, it took place at my nan's house, so the nan that I very much talked about in part one of this documentary. And we're in the garden. It's she had quite a large garden, to be fair, and compared to today's standards, obviously. And that's where the reception was held. But then my dad and Tina went home early. I say it was only a garden party, but they went, I think, roughly about 4 o'clock. So at this time I would have been roughly about 15 years old, something like that, 15. And we're all like, oh, that's a bit strange, bride and groom just gone, and I remember my uncle Chris, and he was a very good go-to, especially in my teenage years and up to possibly early 20s, if I remember rightly. And that was my dad's biological brother. Now, my uncle Chris is a smashing bloke, great bloke, and he was always there. He served in the army, so had a lot of self-discipline, a lot of useful knowledge, a lot of life lesson skills that I could learn from as my biological father wasn't a father figure to me. He, as I said in part one, he didn't do anything as a father should, lead by example. He wasn't interested in any hobbies. He just didn't want to do anything with us kids. He spent most of his time either in bed or whacking my mum. So yeah, basically, my uncle was very, very good, and I'm very grateful to have had that time with my uncle. And they didn't like each other, as I just said. And he used to say, to me, don't worry, it's all going to be all right. But going back to this wedding reception, he had made up a song, and it was about Anthony's hair. And he named it Short Back and Sides, and we're just all like absolutely wetting ourselves because it was quite funny, because if you don't laugh you're going to cry. I felt sorry for Anthony. He wasn't there, because I don't think it would have happened otherwise, but we're all singing along like Short Back and Sides and all that. It was just hilarious. But yeah, that was a really strange moment, and I think a lot of hate. Now, I have been in touch with Anthony in recent years. We touched very, very gently on the past with my biological father, and he has unfortunately got so much hate towards him because of what he put him and his mum through, which that house that we lived in must have so much negative energy, because there was two marriages in our childhood home, and I felt bad really. And then somebody else came back on the scene, which was Tina's ex, the alcoholic husband. And I'm not sure what went on, but anyway, I'm just sitting there in the living room, and all of a sudden the windows are getting smashed at the front of the house. So now we've got a house that's got a wooden board up at the front of it, and everything else. But yeah, it was a very strange moment. But touching back on my mum, she was happy. She was finding herself, self-belief, self-worthiness, self-confidence, and Charlie. Thank God for Charlie. That's all I'll say. And if you are watching this, Charlie, thank you, because without you coming into our lives and rescuing Mum, had she not have taken those driving lessons, I think the outcome would have been almost certainly very, very different. I don't believe for a second that my mum would still been around. I also don't think that me and Michael would have done. I think something very sinister, even worse than what was going on, would have actually happened to all of us in that home. So, thank you, and thank God for Charlie. And I think the title that I've done for this video is quite apt in that, as my mum was on a new journey, a much better, respectful journey. She was able to breathe, she was able to see her parents, she was able to be her, and actually feel switched on, And Charlie was a very, very, well, he's still around, but he was a very good replacement for my biological father. He would take us on day trips, and I'll be on nervous edges thinking, we're going on a day trip, because of what happened, as I explained in video one, which was the Alton Towers. Now, it was, we went to Blackpool quite a bit, and we'd get up early in the morning, I think it was about 4 o'clock, and we'd all crumble into the little white micro, which was still going strong. and we would make our way to Blackpool. And on the way, I'll never forget, as we're leaving Peterborough, the song "Sugar Sugar," and "You Be My Candy Girl." And every time that I hear that song now, it's of fond memories. I don't forget my childhood, but it certainly replaces some of the bad feeling. And it's a great song. And yeah, we'd get to Blackpool. We'd spend a weekend or whatever in Blackpool. We did it on more than one occasion, which was really nice, because all of a sudden we've gone from being housebound, like under a Nazi house arrest, to actually being able to live life and go out and explore things. All this was a brand new world. It was exciting. We were going on roller coasters. We were doing all these nice things that normal people would do and should do and have access to. And I'll never forget the time Charlie was really pleased with himself. He got a load of burgers and chips. And it was very windy. He was crossing the road, and all the tops blew off the burgers. And he's going, Chris. It was just really, really funny. He's Irish, but I can't do a very good Irish accent, so apologies to anybody who's watching this that is Irish. I say it in good merit. And we would. And I remember there was the electric. You put the money in the electric thing to keep the electric on. It's just like. And I remember Charlie. He was quite handy. He was quite a handy bloke, and I remember him being able to fiddle the meter. So it was if we put money in, but we hadn't. So otherwise, it would just cost us a blooming fortune. But me and my brother enjoyed it. We enjoyed going round Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Back then, you could walk round for free. Not so much now. You have to pay to even walk around it. But I remember when the Pepsi Max first came out, and that was absolutely epic, fantastic. And it was just such a nice time, So this time I would have been around about probably 17, something like that. I was yes, I would have been about 17, because then I'd left school. Didn't have a clue what I wanted to do, had zero support from my father. My mum was a very timid person, and I said I want to be a policeman. Oh no, you can't be a policeman. He'd always shoot me down and say, you're too short to be a policeman, because he was scared that I was going to be doing something better than what he's done in his life, because he's absolutely achieved zero in his life. So he was very much envy, jealous, and just trying to keep me at his level at all times. But hey, that's what a narcissist does. They have to come out on top. They have to be top dog. They have to be right. And I've learned that over the years. But when you're a child, you don't really know why them behaviours are. And so then I said, I wanted to go in the army. I couldn't get in because I'm slightly asthmatic. Nothing major, but so I couldn't do that. Then I never forget, I was sat at school. Now, as I said in part one of this documentary, that I was quite troubled because of my unstable home life. I was quite a troubled child growing up. I wasn't, particularly bad or violent or anything like that. I just was very, very confused because of the home life that we had grown up in. At this point, I'm at secondary school. So my school was John Mansfield School. I don't know if I can get an old picture up and put it on the top right. If I can find one, I will do. But it was it's not there now. It's been knocked down. That's where I did my drama. And I said to my dad, I want to go to drama school. Now, I could have really worked on that, because I like to think actually it's something that I really enjoyed. And there was a place in Melbourne Mowbray where I could have gone to do amateur dramatics full time. I wasn't allowed to go because, again, he thought I was going to be something better than him. Now, as I said in video 1, you want your children to be better than you. You don't want to be copying and pasting over all the generations. I want my children to be a lot better than what I am. And so yeah, I couldn't do that. Then as I said a minute ago, I was outside the deputy head's office. I'd been naughty inside school, and the deputy head teacher was Mr. Binley, and he was quite a, very resolute person, very right, was going to take no rubbish from any pupil, and it worked for the time. It really did, because back in the 90s, kids were, well, I'm not saying they're perfect now, but they were quite naughty, and you didn't have as much red tape in the way. So he would, lay down the law. And it's worth mentioning, the head teacher was actually my mum's maths teacher, Mr. Walford, and he was now the head teacher of my school. But getting back to outside the office, I was thinking that before I went in to have a telling off, I was thinking, I've got to sort myself out, I've got to sort my life out, I don't know what I want to do, what I want to achieve. I felt like I was incapable of anything because of my GCSEs were not very good, and that's not because I'm stupid, it's because I had too much background stuff going on, the negative energy at home, it was very hard to focus, and lack of encouragement and support plays a massive part in any child's life or any human's life, to be honest with you. And I was like, do you know what? I'm gonna be a chef. I'm gonna train to be a chef. That way, because I had this mind that I was completely stupid and I've been put down all the time, at least I'll be able to fend for myself, I'll be able to cook, so I'm sitting outside this office, and now it sounds very silly, but in all honesty, it's probably one of the best things I've done, and I'm still a chef to this point today, but I'll touch base on that in later videos. And I went into the office, got a telling off, and thought, right, so I really homed in on home economics then, and I basically, was learning how to cook. I had a lot of coaching from my nan. My nan was born in Wales, so she was born in Cardiff, so she used to make some lovely homemade toffee, you name it, all the home baking, and Welsh cakes were her forte. So she did this on a Welsh griddle, basically baked them on top of the hob, and they were absolutely beautiful, especially when they've just come out of the oven and they're warm. There's nothing better. It's really beautiful, and I want to try and get a griddle, actually, a proper Welsh one. So when I'm next in Wales, that's what I'd like to do. Definitely a lot of fond memories, and so basically I learned how to cook, and at this point I'm reaching the end of secondary school. So, sorry, I think I've got them ages wrong. It's actually 15, isn't it? Yeah, because I'm thinking of nowadays. So 15, so I'm approaching the end of secondary school, and basically, like, what do I do in my life? So I came to this crossroads in life to say, well, okay, this is it now. I'm out in the big wide world. So before leaving, they did a thing back in my schooling time called Trident, and you would basically spend 3 weeks, right? I don't think they do it. I think it's more like a week nowadays, but I think they call it something different. And I went to work for in a warehouse, because again I didn't have much confidence in myself, didn't have much self-worth really, a bit like my mum, and I went to work at Freeman's when Freeman's was really big. This was in Peterborough, and went there for 3 weeks. absolutely hated it. I've got to be honest with you. I've never known anything so dull and boring. And don't get me wrong, if push comes to shove and that was the only job available, I would have took it, because beggars can't be choosers. But I was at that age where I could try and do something about it, and I'd spent 3 weeks doing that, and that was a headache. But the staff were really nice. But that is also where Tina worked as well. So she worked, I believe, on fashion at the time, and was sorting through all the clothes and stuff. We used to get great discount on the staff shop, which was called Stage 2 at the time, and you could go in there, you'd queue possibly a mile and a half long to actually get in there. And once you got in there, it was like a kid in a sweet shop. There was, when DVD players came out, there was them in there, there was TVs, sofas, clothes, you name it, absolutely everything. But yeah, I'm going to bring part 2 to a close, and I'll be releasing part 3 very soon. And part 3 will be another milestone in my life, another interesting part. So I'm going to end on the fact that I was at Freeman's for 3 weeks, bored out of my mind, and I've come to the crossroads. It's make or break. But until then, guys, I hope you're enjoying these series so far. If you would, I'd be very grateful for a like and subscribe if you really want to. I might be boring to death, I don't know, but I'm going to get back to Minero Coffee. For now, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.